Good evening, everyone. My name is Lakshmi Rana, and I am a model and also the founder of Will You Be Talent Camp. I've had a very warm and productive association with FDCI for over the years. The past 2 years have been a testament to how our fraternity has come together stronger during these very trying and testing times. Taking this forward, the Fashion Design Council of India is introducing the 3rd edition of FDCI Insights, wherein the fashion community will hold conversations and discuss their experiences outlining their vision to a post-COVID scenario. I welcome you all to the very first episode of FDCI Insights 3.0. We have with us a very eminent group of panelists: Amit Aggarwal, Shantanu and Nikhil, Namrata Joshipura, Payal Jain, and Nitin Chauhan. The topic of discussion today is: will fashion films take a backseat if physical shows take prominence? And my first question is to Amit. Amit, can the impact of a physical show ever compare to a beautiful lookbook or a fashion film? You shot your couture film in Leh, and perhaps you can give us an apt comparison. What are your views?
Honestly, Lakshmi, I feel that, of course, we've all, transformed from doing physical runways. I think that was the format for many years, to now doing very interesting fashion movies. I've actually been someone who's been, who's done both. And honestly, I can only say out of experience that each of the platforms has given me enough joy and happiness to put it together. Where I think the physical runway allows you the possibility of exploring movement in garments, how you can light them up beautifully, how I think you can put it on different body types, and I think make it very impactful in terms of touch and feel for the audience. I feel somewhere it lacks the entire idea or scope of narrative, which I think a movie can bring to life. Like, I feel that over the last 2 years, we've invested heavily in doing fashion movies, which go from the concept of a traditional runway to actually fuse in life to clothes which are beyond just fashion. I think for me, the last 2 years has also been important to understand how fashion can become more than just clothing. But I think if we ever go back to a physical runway, which we keep doing on and off, I do feel that I enjoy that experience equally. I think the rush behind the backstage is something I wouldn't trade anything else for. So I think that this is equally exciting.
Great, thank you, Amit. This next question is for Nikhil. Nikhil, do you think the need of the hour is a physical show and spectacle of the runway to be able to connect with a brand or label due to its deeper impact with the end consumer?
Well, the human race is a very confusing one. You give humans a chance to do something, they'll do it for a while, and then we get bored with it, and then we want to do something else. Like Amit rightly said about this experience of doing films, and it was a whole new direction, but it was something that satiated his need to create. I think it's the same for all of us on this panel. Having said that, there are certain elements when we do runways. I think it kind of brings a certain amount of reality to the creative process, which people can see instantly and relate to it or not relate to it, either or. But it's instant, and you're not putting something out there in the world for people to see across, no boundaries, on a digital platform. But I think the satiating bit doesn't really happen. At least it didn't happen for Shantanu and me. Although we, invested a large amount of time and effort and love in doing films during the past 2 years. But I really feel that having a good combination between a runway and a mix of the creative output coming from a movie that maybe could be playing on the runway itself would be a really good experience for both the viewers I miss those days when the buyers would come and sit on the front row and actually look at the product and say, okay, I can see our stores being filled with this. And now in the past 2 years, so much has happened. So I would imagine that now our in-house buyers become our really important buyers for buying product for our stores. And I'd love for us to have to go back to doing shows on the runway so that there's a lot more impact in terms of retail. There's a lot more impact in terms of buying. And I think we're at the cusp where India can become, how internationally people would come to shows and buy product. I think that's where it is now going to head if and when it opens up.
Taking on from what Nikhil has said, Payal, is the interactions, conversations, excitement of social mingling and hearty exchanges the soul of a fashion show, which has been missing for the last 2 years?
Well, I have to say I really miss that. I do agree with what Nikhil said. I agree with what Amit said. You have different mediums to express. And at first it was super exciting. And I won't say I haven't enjoyed the process of converting it into film. I think it's given me different joy. But I really miss that. I'm so done with this digital space, Today I'm so happy to see all your faces, but that's as far as we go here, That's all it's been for I don't know how long. And that whole joy of mingling with buyers, having somebody have a touch and feel, a first reaction, like Nikhil said, the gratification is completely missing. So you hope people have liked it, and yes, you'll get messages, but it's just not the same as a hug or a smile or that beaming, you just miss all of that. There's plus and minus, and the ideal world would be if we could balance both and we could have some of this and some of that. But I think now we know both, so we will have that choice which way we want to go. I personally miss the physical interactions very, very much. Amit, absolutely loved your lay. My God, that was just breathtaking. So the horizons have expanded. The world is open to you now. But that personal touch in everything we do every day is missing, isn't it? It's not just about a show. It's about meeting people. It's about sitting across the table. It's about conversations. All of that is missing. How much are you going to do on Zoom or on digital?
The next question is to Nitin. Nitin, you're looking very good, by the way, Nitin. The next question is for you. For buyers, the look and feel of the fabric, as well as effective communication with the designers that comes with in-house shows, has been reiterated. How do you think this can be encouraged in the current scenario?
It's quite a catch-22 situation. Like if you want to bring everything together and still we still keep getting waves after waves. So like 2 years back when we first met with COVID and how we coped around it. One thing that if we still want to come together and have that tactile quality back into fashion, then a very, very strict protocol needs to be followed. And also there are certain other things I was thinking, how to encourage people to come or buyers to have that confidence that they can walk into a fashion week and have a show. So I think probably having outdoor shows is a great idea. Everybody used to get themselves checked every 2 or 3 days, and that ensured us that the fashion week went on. So that's also something which can be looked at. Yes, for designers who want to sell, and that it could be difficult to bring in buyers. A lot of blogs and a lot of fashion seniors across the world are saying that stick to your bestsellers for another season or two. Stick to the fabrics that you've been working with, so the buyers have an easier idea as to how it's falling, because they are already buying it from you and they know the fall, they know the technicalities of the fabric, they know the kind of techniques that you're working with. So don't attempt something really new if you're looking for buyers to show faith and probably buy from you. So I think, these are some of the things that can be done, and at FDCI obviously we'll discuss and figure out other ways.
I think Shantanu could really pop in here with an extension of what Nitin is saying. It's interesting what he's saying about fabrics. I'd love to hear from Shantanu. What are your thoughts and what do you think? Because I think Shantanu was eager to say something here.
Yes, I was about to ask him the question, the next question, which is almost similar to, a lot of it is what Nitin has already answered, but Shantanu, would love your take on this. Is the physical show still risky despite adherence to COVID protocols? Or do you think with the increased number of layoffs in fashion, we need to bring back the lost glory to create a buzz and also generate employment? Of course, with an intimate audience and safety protocols in place. What are your views?
And going back to where Nikhil also started his conversation, that we are social animals, and human beings tend to get bored very quickly, and by the time COVID hit us in 2020, there was already some sort of fashion fatigue that was creeping in. Way too many shows were happening. We were picking and choosing our shows. So runways was becoming boring for us. And then what new can we do? And that's when COVID basically gave us an opportunity to do fashion films. And we did that. And now we are at a point where we say, okay, fashion films seem like boring because we want to go back to fashion runways, and we want to go back to that whole mayhem, the chaos, the last minute, last minute fittings or last minute layering, and that adrenaline rush of almost giving your board exam, and that you're going to be judged in the next 10-15 minutes by the entire fraternity. So that adrenaline rush, fashion films can't give you, because you're editing. Your shoots are being edited. You are trying to cover all your flaws, and out there you're not doing anything of that because everything is live. So from that perspective, going back to runways and still doing something which you feel it creatively binds you and holds you together, I feel that is absolutely a must now. I think we should go back to runways. I feel the whole world has moved on to certain COVID protocols. I think most of us are vaccinated. Fashion films was never a new thing for any international fashion designer or fashion houses. Fashion films are always used as campaign strategies. I don't know how we were using fashion films to almost replicate it as runway shows. I don't think that's a true reflection of what fashion is. I feel today we've reached a stage, and I think because we have been able to decipher both runways and fashion films, we feel that there's a balance that can easily be struck. We can invest in our season campaigns as fashion films, and we can, and in fact, fashion films can be an extension to your seasonal collections. But fashion runways is definitely a must to showcase. I would compare the OTT of films to be the fashion films for fashion, and the large canvas movies to be the fashion runways for Indian designers and for any designers in the world. And for couturiers, there is nothing better than doing those larger than life sets, that mayhem, the growth enablers and the clusters that we work with, whether they are your tent house guys or your production set designers, choreographers, musicians, artists. I think if we can bring all of this together, then automatically you're also internally serving the economy and an economy at large, which is fashion.
Amen to whatever you just said. I really wish that fashion shows are back, because this is something that I have been missing a lot. And so, I can say this for the entire modeling fraternity. When it comes to my co-models, we've been missing these fashion shows a lot. Namrata, this question goes to you. Do you believe physical shows that come with high octane drama and anticipation, much like the way you present your work during these shows, will regain vigor once the virus is gone, perhaps gone?
A virus, I always say that a virus cannot change the DNA of a brand, right? The brand exists irrespective of whether the virus comes and goes. And once the virus, as everybody's been saying, there was, and I agree with what Shantanu said, that at the time when COVID hit us, there was a bit of fashion fatigue. There were so many platforms, there were so many shows around. So at the time, the fashion films were the need of the hour. It was a good medium to show your work. But now, over time, where we are at today, I think definitely a physical show cannot be replaced, with, it touches different senses, right? You feel, you see, there's play of light, there is sound, there is the whole physicality of it, the whole narrative is different, right? Film is, yes, a beautiful storytelling method, and it sort of works beautifully. However, the impact that a show has, and it sort of stays with you, and the spontaneity of a show, I think people are definitely open for it. We just have to be mindful of, doing it, how we present our shows, in sense that, like Nitin said, you could do it outdoors, or, I would say you would limit your guest list. It can't be like how earlier we've had, 500-600 people attend shows. Maybe it could be a smaller group, maybe it would just be 100-150 people and a select audience. Yes, I definitely think there is, and it's not just one medium. We're just not talking about viewing fashion films. There is now a fatigue of how much content can you take in. You've done online school with your kids, you've done online meeting, you've done everything digitally, right? So I think it is important for us to shift and present our work and give it a new dimension and come back to where we were, so that the whole touch, feel, see, sense of it, the instant. Sometimes on a screen, what you see is very different than what you see in reality. As someone said, that you can edit everything, you can remove all the flaws, and a flaw may be just one part of it, but what you see physically as a product in a show, and the presentation and the whole experience is a very different experience than viewing a fashion film. So the answer to your question is definitely yes. I think most certainly, Lakshmi, and you know best, you've done all my shows.
It's music to my ears, Namrata, what you just said. Do you think we will have to learn to live with COVID like Western countries have, and continue life as it is, with focus on smaller and classic offerings?
I think the main thing that I draw back from this conversation, which everyone kind of touched upon, is the fact that the human race continues to evolve because our desire is insatiable. We are hungry, a lot of people that always want to keep growing. So I think, yes, this might be the mandate, the current need of the hour, but every time you have a window, the ambition to achieve larger heights and celebrate with a larger audience, more people that you love, I think is always going to set in. So it's never going to be like this. I think there's always going to be going back and forth, but I think we have to learn to live with it, enjoy it, and keep it working.
Thank you, Amit. Payal, what about you?
It's funny what Shantanu mentioned, that we love that madness. We love that last minute stress. We love being torn to bits, We're just suckers for pain and torture, That's the fact. We don't want life easy. That's who we are. That's what we thrive on, That's what we all love. And that's why we're in this business. Otherwise, we would have gotten out and gone and done other shit, So we're here because we love that adrenaline. We want that high every single minute. So be rest assured, it's going to go back to that and more and bigger and bigger and bigger. I don't think it's going to be small. I don't think it's going to be intimate. I think people are just dying to get out. And once everybody's sure that they're safe and there's no COVID and it's gone out of the window, out of the planet, out of wherever, everybody's going to be back with double the energy and bigger shows and much more. And I think I'm super excited. I'm waiting for that. That's why we're here, aren't we? That's why we've stuck to our guns. That's why we're in this business. We want that larger than life every single day. And that's what we thrive on.
Excellent, Payal. Thank you. What about you, Namrata?
I share everyone else's sentiment that shows are going to be back. Everyone's dying to get out there. Everyone wants to, feel free. They want to experience life freely and attend shows and attend events. And so, yeah, it's, there will have to be changes. It's going to be ebb and flow. It's not going to be a straight line. You'll have to go forward and then you'll step back, 2 steps back. But yeah, it'll continue. It's definitely going, it's already we see progression, right? We see people being less scared and people being more, open. People are beginning to travel. Airlines are operating. So similarly, our shows are also going to get, they will start small, but I guess they'll get bigger and bigger.
Thank you, Namrata. What about you, Shantanu?
Our shows are not as big as you don't have 1,000 people, you don't have 500 people even witnessing a show. So if we can play it with a bit of strategy, and we can have these intimate shows still to begin with, where your media and buying houses are invited and a few select clients, you can easily start doing this. May not necessarily be the magnanimity of a large fashion week, but we can definitely have clusters of fashion weeks, a cluster of shows, which gives an opportunity to all emerging designers as well as some big names in the fashion fraternity, or start with couture shows maybe, and do, kind of get, at the end of the day, we've seen that there's been revenge buying happening, and revenge buying, like what, the last quarter, the last 4-5 months, people have gone into a frenzy when it came to buying, especially wedding ceremonial products and offerings. So I feel we can slowly but surely kickstart the journey with a couture fashion week or a couture showing, and then move on to the larger canvas of fashion weeks as and when we sort of are fully prepared as a country. And I know that with 2 years of so many COVID protocols happening, I feel that more or less us human beings are now best poised to look at a strategic way of doing events, and fashion weeks is obviously one of those events that can start to happen.
Thank you, Shantanu. What about you, Nitin?
Well, a good synergy is required, I guess, between the influencers, the bloggers, and the buyers, if they are the few who will come and attend a show, and so that they can project it out there to the world, because every designer wants to reach a certain audience. So yes, people have done creative things, and I think this is also the time. Last 2 years, all of us have been trying to think out of the box and just adapt our skills to whatever is there. And keeping that in mind, in US there have been concerts where people are standing inside a huge bubble, which is exclusively a plastic bubble for you, completely sanitized, and that even it sounds funny, but as everybody wants to create an experience about something, definitely the plate is out there for you to fill with your creative ideas also, and figure out what are the ways in which you can interact. Like there's somebody doing a show on a boat, you are eradicating people around, and also in terms of the footprint that fashion has, because it brings in so much of people together. And there can be interesting ways also to do select few offerings which look at the planet, look at our footprint, look at the technologies evolved here, because technology is really moving fast and everybody wants to latch onto it. So why should India stay behind? Yes, physical shows are going to be back and everything, but all of this has made us smarter, all of us. And I think this is one more sword in all our arsenal. And I really look forward to how designers will adapt, and like how designers will bring in their top game once things start. And they will still surprise you that you think, oh, chalo ek runway show aaya, and then the designer, like suddenly the whole presentation is still done so differently. I think I really look forward to that from everyone. I'm sure they're going to amaze, and India will have good saying fashion around the world.
Thank you, Nitin. Last but not the least, Nikhil, please. What is your opinion?
Well, my views on this are very similar to everybody else, but I think it's important to understand that why this happened and what it did to the world, and where is it going to go going forward. There's been a massive shift. So when you talk about whether COVID's going to be here or will it be here to stay, it may be here for the rest of our lives, but we have changed as humans. There's a lot of empathy, a lot of love, a lot of new direction where communities are coming together, like-minded people are coming together. This is a great time for design, I feel. And even though when we go back to shows are going to be different naturally, because our consciousness has changed as humans because of the travesty we all have seen in families and friends. And this travesty has not just been only in India, it's been across the globe. So global mind shift has happened. And I think this is where design is going to find its new journey. And therefore, whether digital or physical or any other platform, it's going to be very interesting to see where fashion or design goes going forward.
Thank you. So, listening to all of you, it's safe to conclude that fashion shows and physical shows are going to be back in a big way. Thank you, everyone, and stay tuned on FDCI Official for more episodes on FDCI Insights.